This is Scott Becker with the Becker Private Equity Podcast. Here are 12 stories that we're following today. And we'll also talk about, at some point in this podcast, FOMO and the fear of missing out and sort of the rapid soaring and rising of NVIDIA, Bitcoin, and cannabis, and trying to maintain your core discipline while that rapid rise is going on. But here's the 12 stories we're following today. First, market futures point up this morning. The markets point up today. Second, the markets were down yesterday after being up most of the day yesterday. Third, the one-year Treasury yield remains right about 5%, which is still a very, very comforting investment for savers, and some concerns as to at what point that will come down. We'll see how that goes. Fourth, Tesla rose almost 3% yesterday, but it's still down about 28% year to date. Fifth, if a cat has 9 lives, President Trump may have 100 of them. Trump's social rose 16% yesterday. His bond in one of the New York cases was also reduced to a more manageable number. Sixth, for our Becker's Healthcare CEO meeting this fall, we have Troy Aikman speaking, Emmett Smith speaking, President George Bush speaking, and Jenna Bush speaking. This is November in Chicago. David Pivnik, one of my favorite colleagues, is a huge Cowboy fan, Dallas Cowboys fan. With both Emmett Smith and Troy Aikman speaking, you would have thought that he put the agenda together, but he did not. Seventh, Krispy Kreme rose 40% yesterday on news of a deal with McDonald's to carry their donuts. Eighth, BlackRock's Larry Fink. You know, I was a huge Larry Fink fan, and I got so sick of all this discussion the last couple of years on different politics. But what he said yesterday is I think, totally correct. He says the U.S. debt is snowballing into a huge problem. He says he never remembers the situation being so dire. We concur. As we always say, debt kills nations, families, and companies. We couldn't agree with his analysis more. Ninth, Google and Chipotle are two of the biggest holdings of billionaire Bill Ackman. Google is up 7.64% year to date. Chipotle is up 30% year to date. Both doing terrific. 10th, personal note, thrilled to give keynote talks on key healthcare trends at BOMA International Orlando in May, at the Mazama Spine Summit in June. Thank you very much to Amy Hall, to Missy Wones, Dr. Richard Wones for inviting me. Can't wait. We're also at some point releasing a second version of my business book and looking forward to doing some more keynote talks on business trends too. 11th, UPS dropped more than 8% yesterday. 12th, Canada Goose flies south. I know that's a horrible, horrible analog. It was down. It's cutting 17% of its workforce. Those are 12 of the stories we're following today. We did a separate podcast, on FOMO and investing, about how much NVIDIA, Bitcoin, and cannabis have gone up. Listen to that separately at Becker's Private Equity. Feel free at any time to text Scott Becker 773-766-5322 with any suggestions you have. Thank you so much for listening.